I think we're good to go. We are. Hooray. Well, welcome. Thank you all so much for taking some time out of your day. So take a little bit of focus on your energy and how you're doing, particularly this spring season. I know that spring is a lot of times considered to be something that's, oh, yay, it's more sun and then we can be outside and that kind of thing. There's sort of an expectation of it being uh, really uplifting and exciting and easy, and young love and butterflies is always the images that I have. But actually what happens at this time of year is not quite like that. It's a fair amount of pressure that happens at this time of year. And that's, I think, of what I've been hearing from a lot of students and friends, that is what's happening. So it's a powerful day. Yesterday was the new moon in Aries. The moon has moved into Taurus, but it's a great time for initiation because it's a time where there's a lot of um, energy coming forward. Some of you may be feeling like, okay, I'm on the momentum and things are good. And that would be awesome if that's what you're feeling. But at the same time, a lot of people feel a sense of pressure. It's almost like this, it's basically birthing pains. It's energy pushing through. In traditional Chinese medicine, spring is connected to the organ of the liver. For those of you who are familiar with five element theory, each of the seasons is connected to a different organ, which has different functions. And the liver has a lot to do with the emotion of anger. So sometimes I think about, I've had the privilege of being able to witness three people giving birth, that it's the same kind of energy where there's always this point of like, I just can't keep going, or there could be anger, or like, why did you make me pregnant, or whatever. That this kind of anger and intensity is a lot of what tends to come up for people at this time of year. And at least one of the Qigong systems that I've studied talks about how when we can move energy through the liver, what we're doing is we're bringing up a sense of forgiveness and kindness. And forgiveness, I always interpret that primarily as forgiveness for yourself. So being able to really accept yourself as you are, and the parts of you that feel angry and frustrated and like you just can't get things going the way you want them to be, just know, as if it's comforting to you, that you're in tune with the season. That's exactly what happens at this time of year. So let's see. You may find that the kind of an exhaustion, a kind of resistance, a kind of like, I think of dragging my knuckles along the ground. You may find that is also happening at this time. So just again, if that's happening, just know that you're in tune with the season. And the more you can nourish your liver and take care of yourself, the more you're going to be able to ride the season with more, I guess, I don't know if the word is grace, but a sense of possibility and opportunity. All right, so my computer is doing something odd, so I'm just going to keep rattling along, hoping that things are good. Uh, so I'll just tell you a little bit about myself. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Vicky Della Gioia. I'm the founder of the Way of Joy spiritual fitness program. And this spiritual fitness program is something that sort of has emerged over time. I've been doing Qi practice of some kind for well over 40 years now. And what I really like to focus on at this point in my life is how to help particularly women and also people of color, how we can bring our voices up, how we can step into the spotlight, really speak out, speak our story, and raise the energy around us. And I do this in a couple of ways. One is using a lot of these Qi practices in terms of how do we work with the internal energy, what's happening internally that's going to allow us to really own what we need to own in this or would I say effort to come forward. And this effort, I really love the idea of changing the paradigm that we're in right now, of really shifting the narrative. The other way that I do it is that I work with people, particularly women, on how to tell your story in the way that your audiences can really feel what you're saying, not just hear a bunch of words or talking heads. Because I really believe that there's a new leadership that's been emerging between Black Lives Matter, Me Too movement. There's so many things that are coming forward, and I'm really looking at how can we energize ourselves to continue this momentum, and also how can we participate in terms of being more visible and stepping out of our comfort zone, but in a way that's really grounded and strong. So that's who I am. This time of year is particularly, this time of year, this birthing, this new new year, new spring energy is particularly significant for me because I have a birthday coming up at the end of the week. And it's for those of you who are following some of my videos that I put out while my mom was dying, she died in August. This is my first birthday where I won't be celebrating her. I always use my birthday to celebrate her because I figured she's the one that did the work for me to be birthed. So it's the first time I won't have this sense of being able to hear and feel her. Thank you, Joan, for saying happy birthday. So I think that, one of the things that used to happen was she would call me. I just have to tell you this story. She would call me every year, and I grew up in a family full of musicians, right? So there was a lot of, and it was all high level musicians, like famous people, right? Horowitz used to play the piano in our living room, that kind of thing. So singing or doing anything musical was very, very difficult for my mother. But every year on my birthday, she would call and have this little quavery voice and slightly off key singing happy birthday. So luckily I saved a lot of those recordings, and I even have a video recording of her singing it to me last year for the last birthday that we got to spend together. So it's a very poignant time for me. I'm really aware of that, my own sense of, kind of what is being birthed now, the new level of who I am without having any parents or any generations between me and the end. What does it mean for me now? What is it that I want to do at this season in my life? And also, what is it how can I best serve? I guess that would be what I'd say. How can I best serve? Where do I want to direct my energy? So it felt really timely. I felt like a birthday present to me was to gift it to you, some of these tools that I have found remarkably helpful. So I hope that they're useful for you also. So what I'd like to do for this initiation time, what I want to do for this initiation time is really start by setting your intention. So I sent out an email yesterday saying, just think about, if you were to think of, I didn't say all of this, but if you were to think of the Qigong or some Qi practice or something that we do physically to help this land in your body as being a kind of medicine to support some direction that you want to go in, some place you want to take your attention, someplace you want to really feed, whether it's in a relationship or whether it's creating a new habit of health and wellness, or whether it's taking a new level or new step in your business or the work that you do in the world, or whether it's to be able to feed a new creative project, or something else, whatever it is that you may want to set your intention for. So if you did set your intention, I'd like you to go ahead and put your hands together. I think most of you are sitting. You're going to put your back of your right knuckles into the inside knuckles of your left hand and just place them in your lap. And just take a moment to breathe. And as you breathe, just feel that intention, revisit it, and breathe it into your hands. Now, if you have somebody who didn't get the email or you haven't done that yet, what I'd like you to do is just take this time. You can put your hands in your lap also, but just take this time to just let yourself think about what is the intention that you want to see happen with this particular medicine or elixir of Blossom in the Spring. What is it that you're trying to feed right now? So I'm going to just give you a little moment to think about that in your own timing. I know for me, part of what has happened is partly because of recognizing this sort of shift around my mom not being around. I also injured my leg. I have had this real bad knee injury, and my leg has been spasming for almost a month now, that there's been a time of contraction. And so what I'm wanting to do for myself is that I'm wanting to find ways to create results. For example, healing my leg, coming out on a new level. I'd like to do that with a sense of ease and joy. So it's really easeful results with joy is my intention. Just to give you an example, Now, for you, it may be something entirely else. It can be something simple, or it can be something that's more complex. But the main thing is I want you to kind of have that sense of what that seed is. Okay, so whether you do or not, whether you've named something or not, if you have something that you'd like to name, I'm going to go ahead and ask you to type it in the chat so that I can see what some of them are, just if you feel willing to. And you can do that privately to me, or you can put it out for everyone. You get to choose that in the chat box, but if you would, I'd love to see it. So I love hearing to stand fully in my health and wellness, to become louder and more visible. That's a great one, CJ. Go ahead and name some of them so that we can see them. Again, you can do it directly to me if you would prefer. And what I'd like to do once you've typed that out is I'm going to back up a little bit so that you can see a little bit more. I'm going to have you, like I had you breathing into your hands, I'd like you to take a moment to imagine that you're breathing into that seed that's in your hands. So you're going to just place a seed of this intention, place it in the palm of your hand. And we're going to bring it up underneath. You're going to bring your hands up underneath your heart and then let it come down. You do that again. So you're going to imagine the seed that you've sort of thought of. Okay, this is what I want to feed. This is what I want to energize. Let it be fed or warmed or initiated in your heart. And then let it fall down to earth. And that means bringing it back to your lap. But you're going to imagine that that seed has been quickened and it's now inside, it's in your palms and sitting in your lap. One more time, breathing in, feeling that seed be energized, and then breathing out as your hands come back down to your lap. Okay, good. So let's see what some of these are. It's beautiful. I'm seeing a relationship financially, creatively, and be the architect of your own life. Easy, effortless, spontaneous healing. I guess you can all see this too. Beautiful. These are wonderful, wonderful affirmations. And I think that they're exactly the kind of things that I'm looking for. So you're right on target with it. Great. So that is now sitting here in your grounding. Now, the next step, I'm going to back up again. The next step of this particular form, this is a Qigong form, by the way, called Blossom in the Spring. And it's a liver tranquilizer. So part of what it does is it helps to relax and the liver, so that that sense of frustration or pushing or anger or that high level pressure starts to dissipate, starts to relax, and becomes momentum. So it's moving from stress into flow. That's what the focus of this form really is about. So we're putting that into your intention. Then your hands are going to come apart. So you come up and down. Your hands are going to come apart. And we're going to do a little wave. So it looks like this. Your hands are going to do this kind of a wave here, like this. If you think, I'm trying to do it sideways so you can see. It's an undulate your hands here. So it's basically a wave of energy is going through that seed. And then you're going to bring your fingers down and you're going to let your hands come to rest on your legs with the fingertips pointing down. And this represents your concept, your idea coming to root, coming to grounding. And what this is when it goes is that the roots, when for those of you who are gardeners know this, that roots are extremely persistent and they will find nourishment no matter what it takes. So maybe they need, you get to see the top of my head a few times. Maybe they hit a rock, or they hit a stone, or they hit a stick, or they hit another root. And so they need to adapt. They need to find their way to move around sticks, stones, and obstacles so they can get that nourishment from deep within the earth. So the next step of what I'd like you to think about or to ask yourself for a moment is, what nourishment do you go for? What are you willing to commit going for? Whether it's making sure that you eat a really good meal, at least once a day, maybe it's that you get, take walks, or maybe it's that you talk to somebody that you care about who can support you during difficult times, or maybe nourishment for you is taking a hot bath, or maybe it's um, I don't even know. There's so many different possibilities. So I'd like you to write down in the chat, what are some of the things that you do that you feel like nourish you, that you are willing to adapt to really make sure that you get in your life. For me, it's going to be just continuing to really nourish and heal my leg. So the right foods for it, doing chiropractic or massage or something that is going to help release some of the spasming that it's been in. And by the way, it's working. So I'm happy. I've been practicing this for a while this month to look, what are some of the things. Meditate regularly. I think that's a really good one. Morning rituals that starts your day. Journaling, meditating music. Good. Building momentum in your business with ease. Oh, that's your intention, Phyllis. That's great. Doing your PT, walking, meditating, eating well. So these are exactly the kinds of things I'm thinking about when I'm doing this. Now, what I also would love to know, pausing, what a great one, Connie, practicing gratitude every day, talking to spirit. Yes, all of these things are really great things to commit to. So when you do this movement with the Qigong, you sort of set your intention and then you let your energy root in that way, and you know what it is that's going to nourish you. It helps your cells to kind of take this in and go, oh, that's what she wants. That's not, or he, Dennis, I think you're here too, not what she doesn't want or he doesn't want. It's what does she want? So when we, and this is an old thing from the law of attraction that, you sort of bring to you what it is that you're thinking about or you're feeling, and that your brain doesn't basically know that I don't want. They don't know don't. They hear something, your brain hears something, and then it kind of goes for that. I have a lot to say about that particular theory and those thoughts, but the bottom line is that you want to be able to focus on that intention, and all that other stuff that floats around, all the various demons or the things that kind of go, try to stop you, that they become the stones that you're moving around. So to be able to hold that rooting process, to be able to have a sense that chi, like a river moving through, or a stream of water going and moving around. It's the same kind of thing. It's the same adaptability, the roots, the stream. I'm using a lot of different metaphors, but the bottom line is that we have that ability when we hit a block to find what is the way around it. And it's not about pushing against the block. I actually found in some studies that some doctors did this is in my book, this doctor whose name I blanking on right now, did a study and found when he was working with cancer cells, he was put some cancer cells on a petri dish, and he had people come and do qigong around it. The first group he had was a trial group that didn't really know qigong, and so they were just kind of moving around, and the petri dish, the cancer cells didn't have any real response to it. Then he had some qigong masters come and direct qi, trying to kill those cells, and some of those cells did die, some of that did work, but the biggest result he got was when he had qigong masters come and they just did qigong in the room. They didn't try to direct anything in particular towards those obstacles or those cancer cells or those negative influences. They were just rather really imbuing themselves with that positive energy. What happened from there was those were the cancer cells. They couldn't survive in that environment. So it's the same kind of concept, that chi basically moves in the space between, it finds its way through, and we need to find what it is that we can do to really circumvent. So what are some of the things that you do when you find, okay, I want to meditate every day, or I'm going to journal, or I'm going to eat right, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that? What is it that stops you? What are some of the things that stop you from doing the things that you want to do? Or in terms of nourishing yourself? Getting overwhelmed? That's great, Paula. Yes. Anxiety, perfectionism, big one. That's the big killer of creativity. Diving into Facebook. Oh my gosh. Yes, it's yes. So you're already, it's great. You're already kind of cooking. It's like, okay, these are the things that stop me. These are the things that keep me from really fulfilling what it is that I'm really wanting to see happen, or the ways in which I really want to, care for this intention of self-nourishment. Okay, and now what are some of, and what is one thing you can do to get through that? So if you are having exhaustion, if you're having procrastination, if you're having doing, if you're having overwhelm, what are some of the things that you do? What's one step that you can take that would move you around that obstacle? Nap, observe. And I knew that I knew that when I saw the names flooding in for today that I was going to have a bunch of wise people on this webinar, and sure enough, this is great. Yes. Where a lot of us are liking nap here. Humor, laughter, yes, and that gets that chi rolling. So that's just step 2 of the blossom in the spring. I love what you're all writing. I'm so happy to see this chat coming out in this way. Uh, little bitty incremental changes, yes, different choices in certain moments. Ask for help. Deep breathing, yes. Okay, so that's what that's when you do that dive with your fingertips. That's what that is all about. Is that moment. Okay, I think I want to move. I can't teach you the whole form today. I gave myself 45 minutes, which was really kind of silly, but at the same time, I also know that we all have busy lives, and I wanted to be able to give you something that you could use right away. So what I would recommend is that you do this movement every morning. Just do this movement of what your intention is and then grounding it. But I do want to do a little bit more that's drawn from this longer sitting form, Blossom in the Spring. So the next one is kind of a bigger topic, and I think I'm going to do another webinar in May, and I'll probably make this my topic, but it's about the whole concept of expansion and contraction. So let me show you. I'm going to back up again. So the hands come up as the seed is warmed by the heart. You're welcome to do this with me if you want. And then it opens up, it sends out its roots to go around sticks, stones, obstacles. So these are the 2 movements that we've done so far. Then that blossom begins to birth itself. It comes pushing up through the surface of the earth into the light of the sun. There's a whole story about what's happening here, which I'm not going to get into right now. But the next thing that happens is that there's a bud that appears. So you're going to just imagine your thumb's not quite touching, right? Because chi's going to move in the space between. You're going to relax your shoulders. But here, what you want to do is this is your intention is now it's a bud. It's here in you as a bud, and it begins to open. And it's almost like it kind of checks, sees what's out there in the world, and then it appears to close for a moment. Now, you know how there's sometimes when you have a vision, you're going for it, things happen, and all of a sudden it's like all the naysayers, either internal or external, come to you, or you get blocked by circumstances or health issues or emotional things come up, or you're struggling with another person in your life or something like that. This moment of contraction. This is a moment that's when the so-called the shit hits the fan, if you excuse my language. It's where we really have to kind of come back to our hearts, come back to that intention. How important is it for you to apply that intention in your life? This is where you listen to your heart to say, yes, I am going for this. I am going to do this. Yes, I am going to summon that passion, the part that really cares about something. In Qigong, the heart is all about balancing what's called the cobra and the lamb being the part that's able to exchange, be able to give and receive love. And the spine, or the backbone of the heart is all about your passion, your intention, your ability to really go for what you want. So you're really tapping into those 2 parts, the part that's going, oh my gosh, and the other part that's, or am I connecting in the way that I want to, and the other part that's going, yes, this is worthy, I am worthy, I am going for it. And that's what opens you up into full blossom. So this topic of expansion and contraction, if you've been feeling contracted lately, in alignment with the season, that's part of what's happening. It's kind of exercising you to come back to your heart, to fulfill the commitment that you make to yourself and whatever it is that you're birthing for the season. Hoping that this makes sense to you. So expansion and contraction, big topic, something that's very, very, what would I say? It's all over our world, right? So I know for myself, my biggest challenge has always been how to deal with contraction differently, because when I contract, like when I hurt my leg, it's like, oh, I can't do the things that make me feel good. I can't work out as much. I am doing a lot of qigong and meditating, so that's sustaining me. But I can't do some of the things that bring me some of the things that really bring me a lot of joy, stamina, so forth. So when in that contraction, what is it that I can go to in my heart to find myself coming through? So that's the next piece of it. I'm not going to spend a lot of time with that form or with that particular part of the form today, but I'd like to just take us to the next step, which is important, which is the after there's a contraction, you're coming to full blossom. Oh, I'm outside of the frame, but my arms are out to the side, and you're going to turn your palms up towards the ceiling or the sky. So you're going to reach out, and I'd like you to close your eyes for just a moment if you can. If you have shoulder injury or something that doesn't permit you to do this physically, just let your arms come down by your sides, but the palms still turned up. Otherwise, they're about shoulder height or a little lower, and the elbows are soft, the palms are turned up. And you're going to just take a moment to imagine yourself seated on your throne of power, that you're just really letting yourself own this intention, and it's happened. You have owned it, you have made it work. It's there for you. Yes. So breathing, extending, reaching out through those fingertips and feeling yourself in full blossom. So you can go ahead and relax. So what I'd love you to do in the mornings, and these are just taking 3 short movements out of the blossom and the spring energy, is to name your intention, and it may shift and change. You may be refining it over this next week, because as the new moon develops going up towards the full moon, we as we go more towards manifestation or completion or fullness, those refinements happen very naturally. Don't have to, but if it changes, allow it. So we're going to have this in the morning. What is my intention? We're going to have it come from your heart, warm it in your heart, nurture it in your heart, let it fall down to earth, and then send out those roots is step 2. And then the next thing that I'm going to have you do is just go right into full blossom. So you'll go from going for that nourishment, going around the obstacles to that nourishment, and then going out into full blossom. So I do want to take you through the whole form in just a moment. But before I do, I want to just let you know, obviously, there's only so much I can deliver to you in 45 minutes. I realize time just marches along. So if you want to work with me more, I just want to let you know how you can, or how you can also dive into this form a little bit more. There's a couple of different ways. The first way is I have a Way of Joy spiritual community. Several of you who are on this call are in it already. I love that. And in this community, it's basically a membership program. With the membership program, you get a whole program I've developed called Pivot to Positive, which is Qigong videos for every type of circumstance you can imagine. If you're feeling stuck, if you're feeling irritated, if you're feeling jealous, if you're feeling depressed, if you're feeling overextended, you can tap on a word that signifies that, and I come out in 2 to 3 videos that you can do in 10 minutes or less to change that. So this Pivot to Positive program comes with 3 months of membership. I'm going to be sending you a link after this call, so you don't have to do anything to see it right now, but you'll be able to look at it, see if it's for you. And please join us. It's an incredible community that I absolutely love seeing who we are. It's another, just like this one, it's a big circle of very wise people in it. So if you're interested in that, then please join me. For those of you who want to work more one-on-one, let's say you came up with something today and you're going, well, I really want to see how to develop that more. Part of it would be through Qigong, but one of the things I'm offering now is something I offered at the beginning of the year when I decided not to do my big annual event, Nourish the Flame, which I missed, but at the same time I offered this instead, and it was highly successful for the people who did it. Basically what it is it's a Tao Oracle reading. It's a spring breakthrough coaching call. I'm going to be doing a Tao Oracle reading for you. And in that call, we'll be looking at how to apply some techniques and very specifically directed towards you. Plus, if you would like, we can add a 10-minute video that I would make specifically for you with what I would think of as the Qigong remedies for whatever it is that you're wanting to move through or move into a new level. So maybe it's something that you feel stuck about, or maybe it's something things are going well, but you want to elevate it. So you kind of think jump to the new rung of the spiral. This is a great opportunity for that. So I'm doing this because this is also a kind of an initiation time, not only with the new moon, but also with this season. And in Qigong, in the Taoist calendar, we're right at the peak of the season. So this is the perfect time to kind of get a reading to sustain to what it is that you want to be manifesting in the next few months. So either come join the membership program, which I would love you to do. And if you decide you want to do the other one, which is the one-on-one session with the reading and the personalized video, I'll include a month of the membership as well. Plus you'll get the Pivot to Positive, which you can have for life. Pivot to Positive, again, is a program where you can just go click on a word, get some videos to help you. My best remedy for what brings me back to center when I'm feeling these different draining emotions or negative emotions, so-called negative emotions. All emotions are useful, but what it helps bring us back to a sense of peace and clarity. So you'll be getting that as well. So you'll get the whole thing if you sign up for that one-on-one. I'm only going to have it for 5 people because it takes a lot of my time. I spend many days in meditation on you as I formulate what is your routine that I'd love you to do in the morning. In the meantime, oh, and the other thing that I'm going to throw in, almost for either one of those things, either joining the membership or getting that whole package, is I'm going to throw in also a Blossom in the Spring teaching video, so you can do the whole form with me, which we are going to do in a minute. Oh, thank you. This is great. So let's see. Well, I've got a little bit of time left. I think let's do Blossom in the Spring, and then I'm going to go ahead and open it and ask you, anybody who wants to unmute yourself and just say whatever it is that's happening with you. We can maybe do a little bit of group coaching. Okay, so Blossom in the Spring. Yay! Love this. All right. So I love doing it with people. So having you here is just a beautiful thing. So thank you for joining me. Left hand under the right, you got that intention in your hands. You're going to inhale, bring your hands under your heart. Exhale, let that energy, that intention ground as your hands come back to your lap. Then your hands come apart. There's a little wave of energy. Your fingers point down, and I know you can't see my hands, but they come to rest. They come to rest on your legs. And you imagine those roots and drinking in those roots and finding that place or finding those practices that you have that keep you saying yes to your own nourishment, to whatever it is that feeds you and feeds your intention. Then your hands come up, palms facing down. And in this moment, this is where the seedling, little pale seedling, comes into the light, right? So if you've ever seen grass go through concrete, which I see all over the place here in Oakland, you know what I'm talking about. A lot of life force to push up. And then this moment of resting in the sun. You know, imagine that you're a little pale seedling turning green, greener and greener as that sun feeds you and fills you with chlorophyll until you send out the first expression from your heart, the first manifestation of that intention. And again, there's a wave of energy and a leaf appears. And then a bud happens. So we did a really quick brushstroke around this a little earlier. That bud begins to open. And then it appears to close for a moment to gather more strength, courage, compassion from the heart. And then that bud opens out into full blossom. And this is the hands come back and forward, the fingertips go down, and then they turn up. And we're going to gather the essence of what you are when you're fully in that intention. It's manifest, you see it, the joy of that, of living that, and drawing it down in front of you. And we're going to add to that essence, which you're holding in your palms. We're going to add to it the light of the sun, the moon, the stars, the planets, creating a medicine, creating an elixir. So here we are, and I know this, if this is something that feels a little woo for you, I am sorry, but these energies truly do work. So you're holding this, and I don't know about you, my palms tend to get hot here where I'm holding the energy of the heaven realm, which has to do with your inspiration combined with my intention. And then you're going to feed yourself what that elixir is, what that medicine is. So you're going to just drink it in. So we don't have to think and work so hard. This is what helps us move into what's called wu wei, or effortlessness, where things just begin to happen almost in spite of you. And we're going to now envelop yourself with that elixir. You're going to let it go all the way down your back. Your palms are turned up towards the sky, and your elbows are hanging, and you're going to just imagine you're in a bubble right now of this energy or this elixir. Okay, then the blossom comes up to seed, right? It comes to maturity. This is an interesting part, because the seeds that you're holding here as this blossom comes to maturity is all about who you are walking in the world, how you influence people. And there's a wave of energy, and then the hands come down, and fingers going down into, again, rooting. So that this is all about those seeds taking root in their own timing. The people who are touched by you, the people who are moved by you, by the unique things that you have to offer, the ways in which you raise energy around you, that influences other people, and they start to have their seeds take root. The end of the form is just the left hand coming up the center line and the right hand following. You're making a cycle here. And this is about the unification of yin and yang. Can't get into a whole lot of what that means right now, but basically it's about being in balance, being whole. And the end of the form is the same as the beginning, as a new form warmed by the heart falls down to earth. So we start that cycle all over again. This is all, this is basically the reincarnation of your own intentions, how they happen again and again and again. Okay, I'm going to have you just close your eyes for one moment, breathe, and take a moment just to feel whatever you feel. Notice whatever you notice. And as you breathe, just feel how that intention is living in you right now. Do you feel it different, or does it feel the same? And either way is right? So it's not like, oh, you should anything. It's really about checking in with yourself just to notice what you notice. Okay, so I'm going to invite you to go ahead and unmute yourself if you'd like. And any questions or thoughts or responses to this very brief introduction to Blossom in the Spring. So I'm going to wait for just a moment and hear or see, or you could put it in the chat if you prefer. But I'd love to support you. Was this a lot of information, or was it not enough? Or tell me what you think, what you feel. Oh, so we have one person feeling energized and tingling. Good, Betty Ann, I love it. And I'm so glad. I know I threw a lot of information. That's why I'm going to be going to be doing actually a series of 3 of these free webinars, because I want to be able to unpack them a little bit more. But like I said, if you want to know more, either join the Way of Joy community and get this Blossom Spring teaching video, or connect with me one-on-one, one of those 5 spaces, and get the Way of Joy community plus some direct help from me. Yes, I have somebody who's unmuted herself. I hear clicking, clacking. Does anybody want to share a little bit more about what your intention is? What it is that you, sometimes when we name it, when you vocalize something, when you name it, it actually helps to energize it even more. It's another way in which we can create energy in the room, speaking out, being able to name something. So this is a pretty wonderful circle of people. So feel free to do that. Otherwise,
Vicki, it's Joan.
Yes, Joan.
I wanted to speak mine out loud. Something shifted for me early this morning, and I changed my morning practices to fulfill this intention, which
great
is
timing to do that, Joan. Right at the very where we're still coasting on that new moon. So good timing. Sorry.
Yeah. And it was like, wow, yes, I need to shift something, and my intention is to stand fully present in my health and wellness. And I liked where you put ease and joy in yours. That felt like yes.
Yes.
With ease, it gives me goose pimples. With ease and joy.
Yes. Standing in your health with ease and joy. That's a beautiful one because this is the spirit of Wu Wei. It's just the spirit of the season. Even though there's a pressure, even though there's, we're maybe hitting various ways and things that might stop us, to be able to relax as opposed to push back is that same thing as the qigong masters doing their qigong and then having that which was negative or health a health the cancer cells in the petri dish die. The same kind of concept. It's the Wu Wei. It's that I always have an image of there's a Chinese painting that I love of somebody riding on the back of a water buffalo, just riding along, things just kind of unfolding. So allowing for that unfolding, it really is it's an expression of trust.
Yeah, it's like going with the river, not trying to push them.
Exactly. Well, thank you for saying it out loud. May it be so. Okay, well, we're just 1 minute away, so if you have something to say, please do. I see a couple of you are signing off now, but
Vicky?
yes, yes. Who is speaking?
Oh, I was speaking, but somebody else was also speaking. I don't know what happened. I just wanted to say thank you, and I'm looking for to really like be in touch with my purpose, which I feel like really wants to give birth.
Yes.
But it's eluded me up to now. Either that or I'm already
about it, Ariana, of course. You know me, I always have ideas. So so what was the intention that you put out?
The intention that I put out was to connect deeper to myself, and just be in my power, spiritually, financially,
Yes.
health-wise, creatively.
Yes. Yes, I love that. So what I would do, Ariana, what I would encourage you to do with that is to really work with the part where you're going down into the roots, to really root that, because I think that intention is super clear in your mind and probably in your heart, but now we need to get it into a place what's the earth realm. The earth realm is where we manifest things, where we actually make things happen, where we see things as a result of that intention. It's where we the rubber hits the road. So I encourage you just to, in the morning, to do this little movement and then set that in and then go out into that full blossom, but to really focus on the part that's rooting, so that what that does is it helps activate the things that nourish that intention, that say yes to you, that help you move yourself into that place where your finances and your purpose and everything is unfolding in perfect timing.
Oh, I love it. Thank you.
Glad you were here, sweetie.
Me too. Oh.
All right. So, let's
Vicky?
see. Yes.
It's Connie.
Hi, Connie.
Hi.
Okay.
You're about what?
Well, we're about out of time. So, but please say what you want to say.
Okay. I was just going to say that as I heal from this back surgery, I realize how much I've been a prisoner inside of my body and my life, in my head and in my body, and how I've, since as long as I can remember, have been so vigilant in every breath and every step, to the point that the fluidity of life didn't exist. And so my intention is to gently let go of each of those very tense places in me.
I think that's brilliant. It reminds me of when my mom was dying, and of course you have some part of you that you're letting go, right? Because this was the surgery is a big thing, that you're releasing certain old Connie patterns, bringing in something new. This is a real transition time for you. That I had a vision with her, and I want to share a part of it with you. I don't want to take the time right now, but basically she had these cords going into her body, and they were threads that were connecting to every cell in her body, that each had a specific memory. So I'm going to encourage you, Connie, to start to pluck some of those, not to cut the cord, but to think about pulling out some of what those old pieces are, that because I have the sense that when you're recovering, when you recover, more from the surgery, that there's going to be an unleashing of your energy, that you have a lot to give to the world. You have a lot of wisdom to bring out. And I think that's going to happen. So I think that start to pull out the things that don't serve you, that are old patterns, and to do that very consciously would be good. So I'd be happy to do some work with you on that in our own personal coaching sessions. But that's something that I would so encourage you to do. Okay.
Thank you. Should I do transition at this point, or is it too early?
Too early.
Okay, thank you for everything.
You're welcome. Well, everybody, I did hold you a couple minutes after, but I want to say thank you so much for joining me for today's session. I look forward to connecting with you in the future. And until then, don't forget to look for an email from me that tells you how we can connect further, both in terms of the next session that we do and ways in which you can join the community. In any case, till next time, be well and let the chi flow. Bye-bye.